Sancho to score. No mistakes this time.
That is a rocket.
Royce and another fantastic goal by Marco Royce. Haaland's volley is beautiful beyond compare.
Das Wunder von Dortmund. Foulspiel von hinten an Götze.
Needs to lay it off. We're going to shot away. Oh, what a goal!
Well, I'm trying to start Dortmund Dispatch because today I'm supposed to be joined by Ollie and Brian, but Brian has run away to put on a sweater. Ollie's camera is apparently no longer working, so today it's going to be co-hosted by my dog, Valerie. Brian, are you finally here with us? What the fuck is this shit? No. Turn this.
Sorry.
Go away. Go away. Come back once you get. So for those of us who are audio only, Ollie has come out with a Barcelona background in our call, and he's wearing a Barca kit. So
it's yellow though.
An episode
it's
this
yellow.
Week. I don't know what's going on.
It's yellow.
It's
it's on brand.
It's yellow. So is my shirt. But you know what this is? Bay foul Bay. Not this fucking.
Allegiance is lie. Damn.
Oh man.
God damn it.
We're gonna support the enemy too.
You really don't. You really don't.
Come again?
Oh man.
Anyway, so Dortmund played an away match, and so we did not win, obviously. Away match. Enough said there. What do you guys kind of like think about that? So yet again, dropping points away from the Westfalenstadion.
Let the Barca fan go first.
Oh, all right. I feel like the performance was better than most away games. Now we could say, oh, maybe Gladbach didn't play good, whatever. But we usually get, I don't want to say dominated, but we do get outplayed sometimes away from home. So the performance in certain areas was better. Obviously, still needs work, blah blah, of course. But that's kind of my general quick thoughts about it. What about you, Brian?
I think in games like this, going away from home, there are obviously stretches that we're going to see the opposition have more possession and kind of dominate the game. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. Granted, Gladbach as a team has been kind of bit of up and down over the last couple seasons, kind of just coming back now with like a lot of like young players, and we saw a lot of that in this game, especially through players like Joe Scally. So a lot of like younger players for them playing a role and obviously causing problems for Dortmund in this game. But in terms of control, like I said, that's something you're going to see in games like this, especially on the opposition's home turf. I think they started the game very well. You did have quite a few chances in the first half. Two of them through, Sabitzer, one directly, another inadvertently. Maxi Bayer was very lively, so we had a good outlet there as well up until his injury. And in the second half, despite Gladbach coming out and actually putting us under pressure once again, we did have the breakthrough through Jamie Gittins, which we'll probably talk a little bit more about later. So good phases, bad phases. The one thing I did notice in particular, and this once again, I feel like is something we'll get into more detail a little bit later, but when you had that change from Bayer out wide on the right to Malen, for example, even though we still had that sort of like distribution from the midfield up to the wings, it was clear that one wing was a little bit less effective. I kind of felt like the right side of the pitch was a little bit more static, especially when Bayer came off. So that's something for Shaheen to think about moving forward. But overall, the goal that they conceded, a penalty, it is what it is. I don't think we're going to sit here and argue too much about that. But they did take the lead. They did, fight in this game. You can't take that away from them. So unfortunate result, but I don't know what else to say with that. Just kind of an unfortunate result.
Listen, I'm going straight into the Nuri Sahin quote because it's this same nonsense every week, and it's really pissed me off. Nuri Sahin stated after the game, it was very, very annoying. The only thing I blame for us is not killing the game. You have to score the second goal, and we didn't do that. That's what annoys me. I'm extremely disappointed and angry. I also saw a very disappointed team in the dressing room. With the standards we have to learn to kill these games. Well, you have to learn how to create chances and get your team to create chances as a manager. Because all season we haven't done it, and you get like an extra bit of intensity when you play at home and against weaker opposition at home. Like that's all well and good. You can create chances, cool. I don't know if we've created 2 xg in a single away match this season. And if we did, it was probably a penalty because like this is crap. Watching this is it's quite frankly stupid. Um, but yet I'm doing it. So anyway, like my issue here is the chance creation. Like you bring on Mullen, like that's only gonna hurt you in the chance creation aspect. Like I don't need to talk about this again. Our listeners have heard me do it enough. Like Mullen does not create chances. He's never done it. This is statistically backed up. Um, and then like you're playing Sabitzer at the 10 instead of like a more creative player. Like give Gio Reyna 45 minutes. Like when you're playing and the game is 0-0 for so long, like I can give you the benefit of the doubt. Like some weeks when we take an early lead and then we proceed to not create a single chance, I've said, well, maybe it's game state, but it's not game state when every single Nuri Sahin led team, regardless of whether or not they take an early lead, can simply not create a chance. So, like, it's the same thing over and over again. It's why when we go away from home, we can't win games because you need to score 2 goals to make things like safe, essentially. So you have like the smallest little bit of wiggle room. But right now, we're not creating chances, so we have no wiggle room. And like, that just allows the other team to have so much confidence and they'll start to push their numbers forward. And when they do that, it only takes one chance for them. Gregor Kobel was not bad in this match. Like you're essentially in these matches relying on him to be perfect. Yeah, and then you concede a penalty. Like, is it a penalty? Like, absolutely not. But like, you talk about reasons why you lose the game. It's because you couldn't create like chances. How do you not create chances against like Gladbach? Like this season, they have been like pretty poor defensively. Um, they've been better than a lot of their results, I might say. Um, and they have a very talented squad. But even if you look at their talented players outside of like Kleindienst, who's like probably above average defensively for a striker, you look at a lot of their better players, and I'm like, he's not a liability defensively. But Kevin Stoger is not a guy who's been on defensively solid teams before. They're playing like a 20-year-old left back who's like an interesting prospect, but he's not been elite defensively. Joe Scally's good defensively in his duels, but he's not the best like defensive right back in the world. He's not a guy that I'm like, okay, we're not going to be able to attack down our left hand side this game. Like their center backs are fine, like they're good Bundesliga players, but they're not a team that I would like look at on paper, look at the way they've played this season and be like, it's going to be difficult to create chances in this game. Because it really shouldn't be, but it is when you're playing for Nuri Sahin for whatever reason. And I think part of it is the personnel, like Sabitzer for Brandt, you're looking at your like 3 attacking midfielders and wingers being Gittins, who's like average creatively. Bayer's not a creative player. Like this is a striker playing out wide. And then you have Sabitzer who wants to shoot from 25 yards. So like there is a bit of an issue there. But then you have a guy like Jan Koto on the bench. You have Gio Reyna not playing like the most minutes. So it's just you have to understand the way your side is set up, how balanced it is, and what you're missing. And so like you're telling me like Gio Reyna for 45 minutes, like he's not ready for 45 minutes. He's been fit for like 3 weeks now.
And when he came on, he was basically like last man. He was playing so deep, and was just swinging in long balls. So I do agree that there was some questionable decisions, pardon me. And yeah, overall, I agree. Should have done more. Um, but it was just better than other games that we played away. So that's what, like, that's kind of where I was coming from. Like, it's better. It's not good enough, but it's better.
Oh, defensively, amazing,
Hmm.
amazing. Like the penalty's not even a penalty.
Yeah.
99 times out of 100, I've never seen that been given. It happens every single set piece. Not a penalty. Defensively flawless. Great job, Nuri Shaheen. Uh, but there's two sides of the football, and you need to create a chance. And all season, we haven't created chances. In away matches.
So I will say, I mean, I do agree with Ali in the sense that it was better, and while I understand that, obviously chance creation is an issue, especially in the first half, because I do feel like in the second half, despite scoring the goal, Dortmund were a bit more subdued. There were signs of that changing, especially in the first maybe 15, 20 minutes. I mean, you had Jamie Gittins as a massive outlet for chance creation, created a couple good chances in and around the box, especially in the 5th minute where you have that Girassi dummy, which ends up to Sabitzer and he simply misses. So while chance creation is one issue, the other side of it is when you do get those chances, no matter if it's a massive amount or not, it's also finishing those chances because Sabitzer had a chance. Even in the moment that I was just talking about, where you have Ben Spiny, Jamie Gittins bringing the ball into the box. There's a moment there where it's like, well, instead of passing, maybe you shoot. Then Ben Baini has a similar chance where he cuts the ball in, and I think it goes off of a Gladbach defender, and then that's when Sabitzer has that header, which he ended up missing. So it's like it's also the decision making there. So while we might have not had as many chances, it's also a matter of these players taking them. And as much as I love Maximilian Bayer, there were a couple chances in this game where I feel like he could have also done a little bit better. I think it was in the 17th minute where Gladbach's keeper basically comes out and punches the ball, and Maxi basically has an open shot on goal, and he skies it. Now, of course, with more chances, you get more opportunities to put that away. But I do think there were still enough chances for Dortmund to get that second goal. So I wouldn't want to put it down fully to like chance creation and it being like, oh, well, they didn't create enough. Well, it's like, well, they didn't take advantage of what they
Well,
created.
1.5 xG is like what, marginally above league average. Like you're talking about a team that has spent like as much on like Garassi's like wages this year, his fee, his signing on bonus. Like that's more than Gladbach spent this summer. Like for me to sit here and say like, oh, like yeah, we had the chances to score 2 goals, but we only had statistically enough that it was a coin flip whether or not we score a second goal. And to me, like yes, players can always finish more chances. Like Manchester United won a game 4-0. They had less than 1 xG. Like it takes 4 shots to score 4 goals. 100%. Every player should have the mentality that I could have finished this shot I took, but that doesn't make it true. This isn't like a chicken or the egg where it's like, yeah, we could have had chance creation that led to a second goal, or we could have had like better finishing that led to a second goal. Like you need to look at like the solution, and to me, like finishing every shot you take is not a solution. Like the solution is to
It's
create
not
more
about every
chances.
shot, though. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying
Yeah,
that
yeah.
these were good opportunities. They weren't just, coin toss
I
shots. They
mean,
were
we
actually
didn't. I
good.
don't think we created a single big chance in this game. Statistically speaking, we did not create a single big chance in this game.
I mean, I'm just saying from what I watched an hour ago. So
Yeah.
there were chances, and they were decent chances. That's all I'm saying.
Uh,
That's jokes.
statistically speaking, like not creating a big chance is kind of an issue. In a match, like you want to create at least one. We did not. So like yes, like Sabitzer had 2 chances that were worth between like zero point 0.2 and zero point 0.3 xg. Like you'd like him if he's getting 2 of those chances to finish like one. But that's not gonna happen every time because like sometimes it doesn't. That's the way football works. Like last year, he was
Sure.
in form. Everything he hit went in. This year, maybe not. But I think like the biggest issue right now is like we're talking about needing to score a second goal to win games, and this is 2 straight weeks where combined we've had like 2.1 xg, something like that. And granted, we had like more than that against RB Leipzig, but you know, away matches and Bayern are a tougher opponent than anyone else at home. And until we start to not just like create some chances, but start to dominate games that shouldn't be that difficult, in my opinion. Um, that's when I'll start to be a little bit more on the players rather than Shaheen, because this is like 8 matches, and there's only so much that can be on the players.
That's fair.
Okay, so let's transition into something a bit different here. So Nico Schlotterbeck on the result and their expectations. This is Borussia Dortmund. You can't be satisfied with the draw in Gladbach. We played a decent away game, but that's all. We're unhappy that we only managed a 1-1. And I think that about sums it up. I don't need to say anything more about this match. Um, Unless you guys have anything to add, any thoughts on that quote?
I mean, he's valid. It's frustrating, and I'm sure it's frustrating for everyone involved, fans included. It's important that they start winning these away games. I think that's an obvious statement, but it's the truth. It's they need to start winning these away games to get up in the table and secure at least the Champions League position. Because if they don't, then it's going to be Europa League, and that financially will be pretty devastating. We've already heard a little bit of I guess Dortmund's plans for the future revolving around that. In some recent reports indicating that they're already like kind of planning in 2 ways, right? They're planning with, well, if we get the Champions League money, then we go this route. If we don't get Champions League money, then we go this route. So, and that'll have a massive effect on how competitive they are next season. So everything we do right now, or the club I should say they do right now, will have much larger implications moving forward. So yeah, I mean, winning these games is it's imperative.
I think that contingency plans are important, but
100%.
it's also scary that they have it in place. I feel like they should set the standard where it's like, we want to be Champions League. That's the main goal. We don't, or we shouldn't consider, but I do understand that they need to plan just in case that happens. But overall, like, I'm glad that the away form seems to be on the rise, especially defensively. I always feel like we're leaking goals when we're away from home, and we're leaking, silly chances as well. So I agree with you both on what you said earlier, that we do have to create more and better chances, but our players do still need to finish those chances that we do already create. So, yeah, it's not a bad point to take. We should have all three, but it's not a bad point to take home.
Yeah, well, I think in regards to like squad planning going forward, like it's unwise to throw good money after bad, and money is definitely a finite resource, especially for Borussia Dortmund. Um, so I think that you have to understand there's certain spending restrictions that I believe are like wise, because you just can't just throw money out at a player, because also in winter, like this is the middle of a season, so clubs aren't going to want necessarily to let go of anyone. I think there um, will be transfers made this winter, and I think it'll be much like the last several years where it's your U19 players coming in on freeze, some of the top like young prospects from around the world, and like that's what you're gonna have to be okay with. And you're starting to see early returns from a lot of these guys like Cole Campbell. Again, I believe contributed a goal or an assist for the U23s, and stepping up to that level is a big deal for a 19-year-old. Like you look at some of these numbers for Bayern players in their U23s that are very highly rated, some of which are getting senior national team caps, like Adamaznu over with Morocco. Like he is playing it in like the regional leagues and not necessarily like he's playing very well in the regional leagues, but now you have guys like Cole Campbell, Kiel Watyin, both starting and playing over 80 minutes this weekend, I believe, for the U23s. Um, and it's only a matter of time before like these guys start to get more and more minutes for the top flight team. I think I've kind of like had to go back and forth with some guys on Twitter actually saying that the club hasn't given chances to some young kids this season, and I kind of disagree with that because we've seen 5 debuts. Paulina's one, and I believe Ayman Azil is another, but you're still looking at Kabar, Campbell, and one other player whose name is escaping me. Yannick Loers, who's a German U20 international. So you're still seeing some guys, 2 academy players, and some free signings from pretty good academies making their debuts. You're seeing Jamie Gittins go from a guy who's 1,400 minutes in all competitions last year, not even, to 1,400 over 1,400 minutes across all competitions already this year. You're seeing Duranville currently around a pace to probably break his record for most senior minutes in a campaign, which is from when he was at Anderlecht and he got like 300 minutes between like Anderlecht and Dortmund in one season. So I think the minutes are there for these kids. I think you'd expect a bit more of Watyin, but I think that's in large part down to him getting injured at like the time where he would have been stepping into the senior team. But what do you guys think? Do you think that the opportunities have been there for the young players this season?
I think we kind of talked about this on a previous episode. I think the main problem I have with the opportunities that have been given, and I think this is something we've all mentioned, is like they were too little too late. They were only really thrown in when they needed to be, more so when they could have been, put in a more calm environment where games were under control. And that to a degree is part of the injury crisis and why they got those minutes. But they could have gotten minutes earlier in the season where there wasn't as much rotation. And I feel like those debuts, especially for players like Filippo Mane, where our center backs were already stretched as is, that could have been good. So I think the issue is less so they're not getting the debuts, it's when they've gotten them. And I think that's the main issue here. So I'm happy that, a lot of these players have gotten chances. It's just the circumstances have been perfect for them to get those chances.
I'm in full agreement with that there. It's just they were subbed on out of necessity rather than trying to have a tactical change to a game or whatever. It's like, listen, I need something different in this game. Have 90 seconds go. And I'm like, how's any player gonna have an impact that quickly, especially when they're so young? I'm obviously being a little dramatic, but I think I make my point regardless.
Yeah, like I'm not saying there haven't been issues. I think there are significant issues. Like I've repeatedly asked for Cole Campbell, for instance, to get some looks over a guy like Daniel Mullen because he just plays like an actual winger and opens up the field in a different way. And so I'm not saying there aren't issues. I'm just saying like we have seen it. You're seeing guys in the squad, and like you could look at last year, for instance, it's Ali Pullman. And like no disrespect to Paulinho now over playing in Portugal, but that's a guy who is like 22, 23 and was playing in like the second team for his like 4th straight year. And there's a bit of a difference between like him getting like 80 to 90 minutes last year and if it's 80 to 90 minutes already for a guy like Cole Campbell. Not quite, I think. I think he's closer to like 70 right now, but there's a lot of campaign left. Um, I think that is a big positive step in the right direction. And last year, it would have been literally like your young guys uh, taking out considerable fees would be like basically just Jamie Gittins. And this year you're looking at like um almost 150 minutes for Duranville in spite of his injury. Um so like that's good. Would I like to see Duranville more? Yes, I've asked for it multiple times, but you also have to be slow getting in some of these guys. Uh Not even just Duranville who's coming back from injury, and Reina, who's coming back from injury, who I asked to see more of in this past game, but you also need to be like doing a similar thing with Cole Campbell because he's gone from playing against literal children the last couple years to playing against senior adults, and like that's different, and that can lead to injury. So you have to be responsible. Like even if you look at like Bellingham when he first came in, it was 1,800 minutes rather than like 2,800 minutes or 3,000 minutes in his just league minutes, excuse me, in his first to second season. And that was a guy who came in at like 17. If you're looking at like Jadon Sancho, his first season, a couple hundred minutes. Jamie Gittins went from like 150 to like 500 to 1,300 to now already passing those numbers. So like I think there is a way in which like we need to temper our expectations and have to remember that you need that season of being a regular rotation player before you become a guy that's consistently getting minutes, um, or even before you become a regular rotation player, or like you need to become a regular substitute and stuff like that. But let's get into our star of the week. Who wants to start us off?
Brian, you got this. I mean, you just watched it like an hour ago, didn't you?
Yeah. Sorry, no, I was actually just pulling it up. So I actually had two. But I'll give some love to a guy who hasn't gotten too much love in this position for a while, and that's Julian Rierson. I think he was very dogged in this game, as per usual, tenacious in the tackles. And he had quite a few very important tackles and interceptions in this game that really stifled some of what Gladbach was trying to do. So I just wanted to give him a quick props because I feel like we don't give him as much props this season because I feel like a lot of his work has kind of just gone under the radar, especially with performances with players like Jamie Gittins, which probably is one of the players you guys are going to choose. But
You know what we don't give, we often give credit for, but you're not giving Ryerson credit for team high progressive passing.
oh, there we go. That's also very important, and that's also part of his game. But yeah, no. Overall, I just think he had a fantastic game, and he was a very important part of keeping Gladbach out, especially when they were more threatening and cutting out those, especially those counterattacks that they really did pile on in the second half. So props to him.
Ali,
Right.
who is your star?
Oh, damn. I was gonna throw it to you. So I'm kind of torn between two, and it's not like you know, uh, big impact. They were just solid throughout. I'll go with Nemecha. I've been really, really liking this past couple weeks. If you've been listening, I've been pretty much giving him props every week, but he's so confident on the ball. I think one or two bad passes that I can remember off the top of my head, but overall, really reliable. He's covering a lot of ground. He's trying to, dictate the tempo, which is something we've been lacking, especially this past year. And he's been a joy to watch. And I'm sure Eli will hit me with a stat or something, but he's been great.
I have none for Nemecha in this match.
Okay.
But I'm really enjoying watching him receive the ball. Watching him receive the ball is very very entertaining, very fun. We're gonna go into dud of the week, and I gotta give myself a quick dud of the week of the podcast because I meant to include a quote from or part of a quote from Kiel Watyan where he was talking about his expectations for the season versus how it has gone, and he essentially said like he's essentially implying that he had higher expectations of himself than how the season's gone to be with the senior side more often. And now he's only in the third division with the second team, but he reminds himself that this is before this he only had like 2 years with the U19s, and he's still like age eligible for the U19s. So like he's still doing very well, and it's good to see him have that mentality that like, okay, I want more. I need to be doing more, but also like I'm so good in where I am, and that's how you like build up your internal confidence.
Mhm.
Um, so shout out Kiel Watyin, and little dud of the week for myself for forgetting to seamlessly include that quote earlier. But now let's get into my dud of
Star
the
week.
my star of the week. Oh, Jamie Gittins.
Yeah, I mean, someone had to say it.
Yeah, of course.
Double dud of the week for me then. But yeah, Jamie Gittins. He finishes every chance he takes. We were talking about some guys not doing that earlier. Right now, this season, he's finishing at an unsustainable rate, and I'm really enjoying watching it. Um, it's every time you see him cut in, and it doesn't get blocked by the first defender. It's just in the back of the net, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. Every shot is just perfectly placed, and yeah, he's taking on everyone he sees. Um, Genuine sensational player to watch right now. Like I'm biased as a Dortmund fan, but it's hard to imagine there being many players in world football right now who are more fun to watch than Jamie Gittins for a match. Because
Agreed.
like yeah, there's some bad moments, but there's every time he does something right, it's so fun to watch. Whether he rolled Conrad Leimer last week or he's just able to cut in this week and score another banger. And it's the same goal every time. It's hilarious. But let's move on to the dud of the week, and I'm really hoping that someone takes my dud of the week for the last like 17 weeks. It feels like because I don't want to talk about him anymore. Say that again, Brian.
I said I got him.
Go for it, please. Take him off my hands.
I mean, Daniel Mullen. I kind of like alluded to it earlier in the episode, and a lot of it comes down to how invisible he was once Bayer came off. Because what we like to talk about Bayer a lot is that he's very energetic, very tenacious, always running for the ball, always trying to play a part. You don't always see that with Mullen, and especially in this game, I feel like once he did come on, like that distribution out to the right side. Like I would see Sabitzer put a ball out wide to the right. He'd get in position and then he would just stall. So if there's no movement there, if you're really not going to like make your defender work, then you're kind of just taking up space at that point because you're out on the wing to stretch play, to be creative, and to be a threat. Some days he is, some days he's not. In this game, he was not. And Eli, you mentioned it before. He's not really the most creative player, and that kind of showed in this situation because production on the right just kind of stopped. So Daniel Mullen for me.
Hmm. To be honest, I don't have like a glaring dud. I'm gonna say I think it was Gross that gave away the penalty. I don't think he was bad at all, or like horrible, I should say. But I feel like you should be mindful of putting yourself in the situation. Because like if you put your hands on a forward in the box, they're gonna look to make a scene out of it. So, um, yeah, I just don't really know who else to go with. So it's kind of like a cop out, I know, but it is what it is. Um, yeah, I have a feeling who you're
Uh,
gonna go with, Eli.
I mean, it was a little zonal marking on that one. It looked
hmm
like because I don't know why Gross like would be lined up with Kleindienst. And I
hmm
almost feel like if we're gonna go zonal like against a team like Gladbach, I'd like to be like box and one. They call it in basketball, where you're mostly zonal, but then you have a guy 1v1 marking Kleindienst as well, like one guy man marking and everyone else is in zonal. And I think that would have worked a bit better against a team like Gladbach. I haven't watched enough of their set pieces, and I would hope our set piece coach is. So maybe they have like a wide variety of set piece targets, but even then, I might still say like I'm just gonna key in on this one guy because he's the guy I don't want to beat me. But I'm sure they watched more and were like, yeah, they have Elvedi and some other guys like probably not the best idea. But my dud of the week, I don't know. Oh my god, Nuri Shaheen, I guess. Like,
Oh,
it's we're watching the same away match. It's like, were we good enough to win? Yes, but we're not. good enough to win by enough in these away matches to like do so clearly. And it's just time and time again, like, could we have won? Yes. And it's the same things. Like, we need to kill games off. This quote is stupid. It's the same one from last week. And it's like, where is the adjustment? Um, like, if he's saying, like, we need to be braver, we need to take more chances, like, that to me is like, okay, you understand the problem. Like, we didn't concede, like, really many open play chances in this game. It's just the penalty. Um, and like we've gotten very good at that in the last like I'd say 3 or 4 weeks. Um, with the exception of Bayern, which is still like not a terrible defensive performance when you take the lead so early. Like the main point is we're not creating chances. We're repeatedly seeing this, and he's not setting his players up to create those chances. And he's not necessarily consistently setting out a balanced lineup that is capable of creating these chances. And then like Daniel Mullen over Duranville, uh Gio Reyna not coming on like the second we concede to go 1-1. Um it's just it's a little slow to react in some of these situations. It's a little like not being prepared. Like okay, like maybe Sibitzer's better defensively, but then you have to know that the literal second that um Gladbach scores, there's going to be a stoppage. You know you're gonna want a more creative player at the 10. Like have it like don't wait till the next stoppage. Don't wait like 3 or 4 minutes. It has to be instant, and you give him like an extra 4 minutes, and then maybe in the last 10 minutes we've created big chances and we don't need to see Gio Reyna dropping into the middle of a back three to try and get on the ball and create something because we're just hoofing long balls into the box. Like, and again, like, why are we hoofing long balls into the box when, like, Guirassy, Mullen are, like, the guys in the box? Like, Guirassy's the only one that's really a plus in the air. Gittins isn't. Why are we not, like, literally just having Ben Sebaini in the box instead of like whoever like our left winger is Jamie Gittins, and Jamie Gittins is literally trying to run to the byline and cross it in. Like it's just like some of these tactical things I think could be better, and even before that situation, like that there's so many things that could just be improved upon to create chances, and there's lots of coaches who have teams that create chances. Like look at my guy Ralph Hasenhutel that I was advocating for this time last year, and he's getting 4 goals out of a side that has like one type of attacker, and they're all like strikers that are like fine and not great, and he's getting 4 goals out of them. Not necessarily 4 goals worth of chances, but like that's a guy that's getting more out of his team than uh, the quality that the team has. And I haven't seen that. Certainly not away from home from Nuri Sahin. So my day of the week. Um, and any comments on it? Because I know like there might be some other guys you might want to mention, or like maybe you think it's not Shaheen's fault.
Well, so and I want Brian's opinion on this because I think we spoke about it before. But excuse me, sorry. I feel like we're not getting Girassi into the positions he wants to be in. We're not creating enough space for him. Um, Now, during the Bayern episode, I did mention that there was that chance where Sabitzer ran in behind, and he had that 1v1 that he missed, but doesn't really matter. But what I wanted to take away from that moment was that when he ran in behind, the two center backs split, and Guirassy had space, and we don't see enough of that. And I don't want to blame Sabitzer because maybe like he's just not that type of player. So, Brian, what do you think the team should do to put Guirassy in a 1v1 situation, in a scenario that suits him in terms of goal scoring? Because I feel like we're not seeing him enough. The only time we see him is when he drops in to touch the ball. And although obviously that's great, I still like he's our striker. I want him to score more.
So that's a great question for Nuri Sahin.
It would be. I don't think that the beauty of a striker like Girassi is I don't think there's a specific situation you need to put him in. He's not just like someone who scores headers. He's not just a poacher. He is good in build up play. He's good at creating his own chances, and he's good at creating chances for others. So I don't necessarily think it's a problem of what do we do to get Girassi more into the game, or like do we create specific chances for him, because I don't think he's that type of player. I think he's able to score from numerous different types of opportunities. It is about the opportunities, and that's why I was kind of saying earlier, it's not like the opportunities created are part of it, because especially in this game against Gladbach, you don't see much of Girassi. You see him a couple times. He had the overhead kick that came close to going in. um but that's why I'm saying it's an issue it's twofold. When you have a player like Girassi, he's not usually the type of player that needs a lot of chances to score. And that's what makes him such an asset. And while we can't expect players to score every chance, we can expect them to try and do better. We can try and expect them to at least get the ball on target. And I think those little improvements lead to those chances being buried more often than not. So I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with what we're doing with Girassi, because I think he's the perfect striker for the system, and I do think we do have the players that can play to his strengths and allow him to flourish. I mean, kind of what I was talking about earlier with Gittins kind of being that chance creator for him in the first half. We have one player in Gittins that can do that. Bayer being a striker, obviously he's not going to be the main outlet for that, but he has shown a propensity to be able to do that. When Brandt is fit, we have a player that can play those through balls for Girassi to run onto. So the outlets are there. It's just kind of putting them in the position to perform as well as they can. And I do think that's part of the reason some of the players have also not been at top form. So that means we're not going to see the same type of production coming out of it. So while, yes, it's about chance creation and what Şahin is doing, I do think that we haven't seen the best out of every single player. I mean, even just take Yan Couto, for example, right? In preseason, we saw a little bit of what he's capable of in playing those like through balls and out wide passes that curl in for the attackers to take advantage of. He's been injured, so we haven't had him out there, and he's kind of that Guerrero-esque outlet that we've been missing in the fullback position. So I feel like once he's fit, we get a little bit more of him. We've seen Gross is able to put in balls on top of that. From set pieces, and I do think that Gross in particular should be taking more of the corners. I feel like we see Brandt taking some of the corners when he's on as well. I think that could help Girassi as well, because I feel Gross's corners are a little bit better, personally. So it's about putting the players in the right position and in the right roles. And I think that's more so what we can kind of criticize Şahin for, in my opinion, in this case. And I think that's part of the reason we haven't seen... Not that we haven't seen the best of Girassi, because I feel like we already have seen the best of Girassi, but that's why we see him so isolated. It's kind of a hodgepodge of different issues that kind of culminate into that being the case. So I don't think it's one specific thing, and I don't think we're in a situation where we're not able to play to Girassi's strengths and allow him to flourish. It's just sometimes players aren't in form, players aren't performing the roles that they're strongest at on the pitch. So I just think it's a lot of issues at once, and once they kind of all figure that out, which I do expect them to do, we'll see a little bit of that ironed out, more chances created, more chances being put away.
Well, like, I kind of agree with Brian, but I'm also looking at a side that essentially it's Jimmy Vino Gittins, average chance creator, Bayer, below average, Sabitzer, below average, my fullbacks, below average, on both accounts. Like, these are, like, that's the main guys you'd like to see kind of create chances for a guy like Serhou Guirassy. And I think that's the biggest issue that you're kind of seeing here, is that, like, I talked about balance in the side. Sabitzer is another one. Like, I think that Nemec is fairly creative. Schlotterbeck, key passes, back-to-back matches, leading his side in key passes. He's a center back. Like, can somebody help him? He's doing most of the defending. He's doing most of the progressive passing. Like, in this match, again, second week in a row, most passes attempted. He's also the leading guy for key passes. Like, you need chance creation from someone that is not a center back. Because if a center back is creating the most chances, they're probably not the best chances.
That's a big problem.
100% right. I mean,
so, like, you need to... negatively impact your side defensively somewhere to bring on a player who can positively impact your side creative wise. Whether it's Gio Reyna, whether it's Jan Kota, like yes, you may concede more chances, but you also will create more. And like that positive impact is what would essentially allow you to win a game like this.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at too, because it's like if we really think about the players that were out injured, it's Kuto, it's Reyna. We ran Brandt into the ground. I mean, we've spoken about this on numerous occasions, and that's also part of it. There, it's like yes, we have the players, but a lot of them haven't been available. So what I'm trying to say right now is that with these players back, and this is where I think the criticism is valid. A player like Reyna should be getting more minutes, especially in a game where at the half we hadn't had a breakthrough. You know how important it is that we start winning these away games. You need to have that breakthrough. So you need to have that player that can kind of pick that lock. And you have Jamie Gittins on the right, but if you're not putting on the left, but if you're not putting any other creative players on, and this is where I agree with you, Eli, that's a problem. But the other side of it is a lot of them weren't available, and the ones that were available, we kind of ran them into the ground. So I think moving forward, and this is kind of where it comes down to where we saw a little bit of improvement in this game, with everyone being fit and there being more options, I would expect for Shaheen to learn from that and be able to rotate a little bit more and kind of know what player to put into what position and have them play a specific role that affects the game in a positive way. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, maybe even like a little Julien de Renville. You never know. But let's move on. We got a quick preview for you now. Dortmund versus Barcelona. Team form in the last 5 games: 2 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss for Borussia Dortmund. 2 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss. That's the exact same. It's Barcelona. Head-to-head history: 4 games, 2 wins, 2 draws. So we've never beaten them. Seems like we're due. We're playing them at home. I watched them this weekend. Little scouting report for you against Real Betis. They were terrible.
First half was
Ansu
so
Fati,
bad.
very good. Everyone else, kind of bad. But they did also substitute a lot of their better players to get them well rested for this match, because this match means a lot to them, but it also means a lot to Borussia Dortmund. I think that we can certainly win this match. It's a homecoming for Robert Lewandowski. I hope he gets whistled.
Hold up, you said Ansu Fati pretty good. He wasn't even playing.
Oh, I say Ansu Fati
Yeah.
instead of you mean Yamal? Oh my God, I'm stuck 3 years ago.
Oh man.
It's over for me.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad game. First half was horrible. Second half was a little better. There's a couple
I was
match
really enjoying some of the diagonal balls in behind by Betis.
I was gonna say there's some matchups that are gonna be fun to watch, and Jamie Bino Gittins and Koundé, because Koundé likes to get forward, and we can see a lot of chances through his wing. So that's gonna be really interesting. Koundé's also like he's not a right back; he's a center back, converted right back. So when he gets beat, he has a second where he's like, "Oh, like damn, I got beat," and then he turns. Um, so that's a really good matchup. Seru versus Kubarsi. I'm really excited for that too. And I think on the opposite end, um, Zula is like he's out for the game, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah,
6 weeks.
let's
Yeah.
quickly talk about this. Back-to-back weeks, we lose a center back through injury. Who is returned from injury in a week. Forgot to include that in my dud of the week speech, but you can add that in. What are we doing?
Well, here's the thing. So you're probably gonna have to play Chan as a center back, right? And
Most definitely.
exactly right. And Barca under Flick really like to high press. That sounds like a recipe for disaster, honestly.
You know who likes a high press? Maxi Bayer.
Maxi Bayer, he's gonna be against Balde, I think. I think he's fit for the game.
Oh, he's
Um,
gonna be behind them all game.
okay. I'm actually so excited for the game. I will take. I know we're not doing predictions. Actually, you know what? I'm
No,
gonna
do
wait.
your prediction. Give
No,
it. Give it
I'm
to
gonna wait.
us.
I want to hear Brian. I want to hear Brian.
Oh my God, you're a coward.
Um, I mean, Barca have been good this season. I mean, yeah, maybe the last couple games haven't been great for you guys, but overall, under Flick, this is a rejuvenated side, very attack minded. Not your typical Barca side, not straight up tiki taka. The wing play is there. You have Rafinha in good form. You know, it's a good side. Lewandowski aging like fine wine. Um, yeah, like it's going to be tough. Do I think Dortmund can win? Of course.
Mhm.
As it always is with Dortmund, it's the side that turns up. It is a little worrying though because you did mention that we're gonna have Sula out now and Anton's obviously out. So Chan as a center back. Granted, I think he's better off as a center back than he is in defensive midfield at this point. It's still gonna be tough. It's going to be a coin toss as to whether he just simply gets beat for pace or gives away a penalty. So we'll see. At the end of the day, we have seen him put in decent performances at center back this season too, so we might get a tune out of him. So let's not count him out too soon.
Mhm.
I actually think that Emre Can is the most important. Like how Barcelona sets up their press with Emre Can is one of the most important things because Lewandowski is their worst presser. So if we allow Rafinha and Yamal to come centrally to assist in the press on Schlotterbeck, that could cause us like real issues because you don't necessarily need to press Emre Can that hard. So if we can consistently get Schlotterbeck the ball and some time, like I think we do very well. And I think that like that's basically our hub in possession. And I think that's the most important matchup is really like how much space and time we're able to get Nico Schlotterbeck on the ball in the back line and how we can find kind of little gaps in their press just to allow him to dictate the tempo and play some of those diagonal balls in behind when we are able to get forward. But Brian, you were saying.
Well, it's going to be that. So you hit the nail right on the head there, but it's also going to be, I think, how we deal with their wingers. Obviously, Fati in form.
Yamal in form.
Oh, sorry.
I messed it up. I ruined it.
Affected me now with this. Yamal in form, and Rafinha in form. It's going to be tough. But I do think that both Rierson and Bensebaini, especially with Bensebaini in the form that he's been in this season, can put in a good shift. I think there's also space for Couto to come on in this game, and with what we're talking about with a high press and with Bayer being able to play in behind, having a player like Couto behind him to play in those balls for him to run onto, that's good. That could be a good plan to go with, but we'll see what Shaheen goes with.
I was gonna say
Score prediction. Come on.
Oh, sorry. I mean, ever the optimist for me. But 3-2 for us.
I'm gonna say 2-2, so I can be happy on both sides.
Okay.
I think the draw helps us more.
It probably us, buddy. Come on, am I already the enemy? Oh
Look at what
man,
you're wearing.
hey man.
Tell me.
Look at you wear that like multicolored weird badge.
Multicolor. But well,
I don't even know what that is.
we're on the same like it's 12 points each in the table. So all in all, I think a draw would be dope. I don't want to say I want one team to win more than the other. To be honest, I've been like, when this schedule came out and I saw that they're gonna play each other, my first reaction was why me? You know what I mean? Like, why is it the two teams that I like have to play each other? But yeah, I'm really excited. Obviously, Barca like to high press, and having Bayer and a JBG on the wings attacking, that's really really dangerous.
JG.
Sorry.
Everyone's correcting everyone now. Okay, great.
Goddamn.
Sorry, I have to ruin his flow.
Hey man, but on the opposite end, like we said, I have a feeling Flick may start Rafinha as the 10, just for his intensity to cover four Lewandowski and put pressure on Nemecha. Because if I was Flick, I would not want Nemecha to get into any sort of rhythm. Because I don't know, man. Nowadays he's looking like prime Busquets, and it's if I was Flick, I'd be worried. But on the opposite end, I wouldn't want Guirassy to have space. So we'll see if it was me, I'd put Bayer as the 10 and just have him like running behind every counter, everything. Just make space for Guirassy, and also that's a quick outlet for crosses.
Who
as
do you
well
start
to
on the right
target.
wing then?
Honestly, I take my chances with Reina. Um, only,
I
yeah,
don't know about that.
I
Ooh,
would
that's
I don't know about
spicy.
because yeah, go ahead.
I
Sorry.
don't hate it. I don't hate it.
I don't like it at all. At all. This man has zero intensity to run back. I am sorry. No way. With the type of
Fair.
fullbacks Barcelona has, we would get ripped open.
Yeah,
That's a
but
good point, though.
Guirassy presses. Bayer will press for him, and he can kind of. He's been better in the past couple years. Like
Playing
one-off
centrally,
Champions
not
League
falling
game. Like we've seen some defensive shifts from defensive
He's so
zeros before.
he's so unhappy.
I don't hate it. Like I think we need to take a risk somewhere
Well,
to
okay,
create
well,
a chance.
Kuto at that point because
well, if
We're gonna line Kuto up in his first start in like months against like two of the most informed wingers in the world.
but it's the same thing for Reina. It's his
But Reina doesn't have to defend the wingers for 90 minutes the way Ryerson and
You're right, he won't. He's gonna jog around and not provide defensively. I'm sorry, no.
okay, but like
Naturally.
one attacker that doesn't press is
Dude,
fine.
against a fully pressing Barcelona team is not fine. No way.
Oh,
well,
my-
so
You're not selling
so
me on that one.
so okay, so the thing is, Ferguson is not great offensively because what could have happened was you can have Reina tuck in also, and then you have more bodies in the middle, and then you can have Ryerson press up, but then obviously that would require more legs once they lose the ball. In any case, though, I think, man, I'm actually excited. Like last time this fixture happened was it 2019. I left class. I had to go watch it. Like that's how like uncomfortable I was. I'm like I have to go watch it. I'm so excited for this one. I think it's gonna be like electric. And yeah, man, I'm gassed.
So just curious, because right now I'm a little concerned. I just want to ask, why are we putting a square peg in a round hole when we could put Reina in his 10 position, which he's always wanted to play, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
We keep Bayer out wide.
I mean, I'm allowing Bayer to. I'd play Reina. Like Reina would play right wing at times in like essentially the 4-4-2 you drop into against the ball, and that would allow Bayer to stay high. This would be, I think it's what we played against Bayern most recently, and so it allows you to have your pace at the top, and you essentially have either you could even have Gross shift out into that like right mid spot because he's like played right back before. He can do that. He's played right wing back before, and you have Gio Reyna like centrally next to Nemecha. Like wherever you'd really prefer him situationally. Like him and Gross can kind of switch back and forth on that right side of the midfield defensively, and that allows you to keep Bayer high. And that's going to be where I'm going to take my risks shooting everything in behind to Bayer and Guirassy. And like
Brian
I think
hates it.
that like I
get
think that's the risk I'm willing to take. Like if he said Durnville, I'd be like, okay, cool. Like let's get him the ball and see if he can.
I'd rather see Juju in there.
Juju.
Like I don't know which I'd prefer, but like I could be sold. I could be
screw it.
sold.
Toss Smallin in there. May as well.
No, absolutely not. We're talking about Gio Reyna defensive zero. Like we're talking about like the guy
I
who
wouldn't be
comes
surprised,
on
though.
for 20 minutes against tired legs and can't press well.
But I wouldn't be
But
surprised,
I haven't
though.
given my score prediction, so I'm gonna say 2-1 Borussia Dortmund. Hey, BVB. Love the Westfalenstadion.
Me
I've
too.
been to two stadiums in Europe, and I will say the Camp Nou is old, it's beat, and it's dusty.
Hey man.
And the
Hey man.
Westfalenstadion is the most beautiful, wonderful, most joyous place I've ever been. So not even a comparison.
Ollie, I do have to put you on the spot because you said you don't want to have to choose between the two. I'm gonna make you choose.
Okay.
Dortmund, Barcelona, Champions League final, 2025. Who are you rooting for? Whose kit are you putting on?
Whose kit am I putting on? So, all right. I'll grab scissors, right? I cut.
If I see you in one of those half and half scarves, oh my goodness.
if you're
Or
honestly
not the half and half scarf, excuse me, the half and half kit.
if you're
That's a
honestly
crime.
if you're honestly making me choose, I grew up a Barca fan. It would be Barca.
Okay, have a good one.
Just be honest about it. That's all I'm asking.
No, I said it. I grew up a Barca fan. I became a Dortmund fan in what was it 2013. I saw Royce's blonde hair and I'm like, that guy, he's sick. He scored against Madrid. Love him. And then I've been a fan ever since.
Okay, anyway, before we head out,
Anyway,
we have the Dortmund Dispatch Fantasy Bundesliga update. Edward DC4 retaining his top spot. The SA Germans in second. Pints of Bayer in third. FC Clever Football Puns in fourth. Ryu Sanugi in fifth. You're going to ask me why we're going to eighth, but you're about to find out. In sixth, we have Brestov 09. Larry buys a lighter in seventh. And eighth, oh, that's me. Hi, top 10. Let's go. Anyway, is there anything you guys want to plug before we head out?
You just catch me as always. Trying to mainly be on Blue Sky now. Brian Straub94, but still lingering around on Twitter. Brian_Straub94. And yeah, just catch us on the pod. Follow us on all our socials as well. So
agreed. Check us out everywhere. Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram. And we'll see. YouTube, yes. Yo, we post every episode video. I'm very much a video podcast kind of guy. So do check us out. Subscribe, like, all that goodness.
If you want to see my dog, she will be in and out of the YouTube on this one. But yeah, that'll do it for us. Thank you. Have a good one.
Jadon Sancho to score. No mistakes this time.
That is a rocket.
Royce out. Another fantastic goal by Marco Royce. Haaland's volley is beautiful beyond
Jetzt
compare.
kommt das Wunder von Dortmund. Foulspiel von Inso an Götze.
Needs to lay it off. We're going to shot away. Oh, what a goal!